What if the promise of a new life turns out to be a trap you never saw coming? The letter trembled in Abigail O'Connor's hands as the stagecoach rumbled toward the rugged town of Terlingua, Texas. Every bump in the road sent dust swirling around her travel-worn skirts. It was September 1875, and she was heading toward a man she had never met. At only 20 years old, orphaned and alone in the world, she had chosen to become a mail-order bride, because there were no other choices left. The letter in her hands promised security, a home, respect, maybe even affection someday. Those words had been enough to make her leave the crowded streets of Boston behind. The driver's voice broke her thoughts. "Almost there, miss. Terlingua's just over that ridge." Abigail tucked Walter Farley's letter into her reticule and straightened her bonnet. The journey had been long and full of second thoughts, but it was too late to turn back now. The stagecoach rolled into town, revealing a lonely stretch of wooden buildings surrounded by the harsh Chihuahuan desert. Abigail stepped down, her boots instantly coated in red dust. She gathered her 2 small trunks, everything she owned in the world. "You the mail-order bride?" a gravelly voice asked. Abigail turned to see a weather-beaten man in his 50s. His cold eyes scanned her like he was sizing up livestock. "I am Abigail O'Connor," she said kindly. "Are you Mr. Farley?" Walter grunted, ignoring her offered hand. "You were expected yesterday." "The stagecoach was delayed in El Paso," she replied politely. "HMPH." He looked at her trunks with displeasure. "That all you brought? Not much of a dowry." Heat rose to Abigail's cheeks. "I explained I have no fortune. Only my education and willingness to be a good wife." "We'll see about that," Walter muttered. He heaved her trunk into a waiting wagon and gestured for her to get in. The ride to the Double F Ranch was silent and uncomfortable. Abigail tried to study Walter's face, hoping to see kindness beneath a sour expression, but found nothing. When they arrived, the ranch looked tired. Peeling paint, a sagging porch, and dusty outbuildings that seemed ready to collapse. "This is home," Walter said flatly. A tall, awkward 16-year-old boy hurried over. "This her, Pa?" "Yeah, this is Samuel," Walter said. "Help with her things." Samuel gave Abigail a shy nod. He was awkward and thin, but his eyes held something kind. Inside the house, Abigail found dust on every surface and furniture worn from years of neglect. Walter noticed her expression. Samuel's mother died 6 years ago. "We get by," he said simply. "I'm sorry for your loss," Abigail replied softly. "I lost my parents last year." Walter shrugged. "Supper's at 6. Your room's upstairs. You can start cleaning tomorrow. House needs a woman's touch." Then he walked away, leaving her standing alone. Samuel appeared with her trunks. "I'll take these up for you, Miss O'Connor." "Thank you, Samuel, and please call me Abigail." The boy managed a small smile. "Pa ain't always so rough. He's just been alone a long time." Quote, when Abigail was finally alone in her small upstairs room, she sat on the bed and let her tears fall. She had traveled hundreds of miles hoping to find a home, yet nothing felt safe. But she had no money to return east. She had no choice but to make this work. Her first week was harsher than she imagined. Walter expected her to cook, clean, wash, and work from sunrise to sundown. Nothing she did pleased him. "The biscuits are burnt. You missed a spot. That ain't how we do things here." Still, she tried her best, hoping marriage might soften him. But everything changed one hot Thursday morning. Abigail was hanging laundry when she heard hoofbeats. A rider approached on a chestnut gelding. He sat tall and confident, the sun brushing his bronze skin. "Morning, ma'am," he said with a warm voice. "You must be Miss O'Connor. I'm Nathan Aldridge. I live on the ranch over the ridge." He dismounted with easy grace, his blue eyes kind and steady. Abigail felt a flicker of comfort, something she had not felt since arriving. "It's a pleasure, Mr. Aldridge," she replied. "Just Nathan, please," he said with a friendly smile. Before she could speak further, Walter stormed out of the barn, his face tight with anger. "Aldridge, "What are you doing here?" "Just being neighborly," Nathan answered calmly. "Wanted to welcome Miss O'Connor." "She ain't your concern," Walter snapped. "Girl, get inside. Now." Abigail froze at the sharpness in his voice. Nathan's eyes narrowed, noticing the fear in her posture. Then the men began arguing about water rights. Nathan spoke calmly, but Walter's temper rose fast. The tension grew until Walter stepped toward Nathan with clenched fists. "Get off my land before I fetch my rifle." Nathan's jaw tightened, but he didn't back down until he had no choice. He tipped his hat to Abigail. "If you ever need anything, Miss O'Connor, my ranch is just over that ridge." As Nathan rode away, Walter turned toward her with fury. "You stay away from him," he growled. "I was only being polite." Walter grabbed her arm so hard she gasped. "You do what I say. Understand?" Fear shot through her. His grip left red marks on her skin. "Yes," she whispered. "Good. Now get supper started." When he walked away, Abigail rubbed her bruised arm and stared toward the ridge where Nathan had disappeared. For the first time since arriving, she wondered if she had stepped into danger she could not escape. The wedding came too fast. The sky was dark with clouds, matching the dread pulling at Abigail's heart. As she stood outside the small church in her mother's old blue dress, a galloping horse suddenly approached. Nathan Aldridge rode straight toward her, dust swirling around him. "Reverend," he said urgently, "I need to speak with Miss O'Connor before this wedding begins." Walter stormed forward. "You have no right." Nathan didn't back down. "Miss O'Connor," he said, looking directly into her eyes, "you cannot marry this man." A hush fell over the small crowd. "Tell her, Farley," Nathan challenged. "Tell her what happened to your first wife." Walter lunged, but Nathan stepped back. "Sophia Farley didn't die of cholera," Nathan said. "She died after he beat her and pushed her down the stairs." Quote. Abigail's world tilted. Her breath caught. Her heart pounded. She looked at Walter, at his cold eyes, and finally understood she had walked straight into a nightmare. Abigail felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts as she stared at Walter, searching his face for any sign that Nathan's words were untrue. But all she found was rage. Cold, familiar rage. "Is this true?" she whispered. Walter's jaw clenched. "He's lying. Always has been." The store owner's wife stepped forward, twisting her hands nervously. "Miss O'Connor, we all suspected. Sophia was often bruised. We were afraid to speak up." A ripple of shock moved through the gathered crowd. Nathan stepped closer to Abigail, his voice steady. "You don't have to marry him. You don't have to step into the same fate his first wife did." Walter snapped. "You stay out of this!" he roared, reaching for the pistol on his belt. Samuel cried out, "Pa, no!" But Walter wasn't listening. His hand gripped the gun. His chest heaved with fury. Nathan moved first. He lunged forward, grabbing Walter's wrist. The gun fired upward, the bullet ripping into the church roof. Panic broke loose as the two men struggled in the mud, the rain beginning to fall in heavy, cold drops. "Stop!" Abigail cried, but no one dared get between two fighting men. Samuel suddenly ran forward. With one swift kick, he knocked the pistol from his father's hand. The weapon skidded across the wet ground. Nathan took advantage of the moment and pinned Walter down. Around them, thunder rumbled as the downpour grew stronger. The sheriff arrived, drawn by the gunshot. He took one look at the scene and rushed to help subdue Walter, who fought like a man possessed. "You're done, Farley," the sheriff said. "You'll answer for every charge laid against you." Walter spat at Abigail as they hauled him to his feet. "You're nothing but trouble. You'll regret this." Abigail felt Samuel move closer to her, trembling. She placed a protective arm around him. "You're safe now," she whispered. Nathan stepped to her side, rain running down his face. "You're safe with us." Quote. The sheriff dragged Walter away. The wedding was forgotten. The church crowd slowly scattered, murmuring in relief and worry. Nathan turned to Abigail. "You can't go back to that ranch. You can stay at mine. Both of you." Abigail felt her chest tighten with fear and relief. "Are you sure?" Quote, "You'll be protected," Nathan said simply. "You have my word." He helped her into his buckboard, Samuel climbing in beside her. As they rode through the rain toward the Aldridge ranch, Abigail stared ahead, dazed and shaken. Thunder cracked overhead, but somehow she felt lighter than she had in weeks. The storm was washing away the nightmare she had nearly married into. Nathan pointed to the ridge. "My ranch is just over there. You'll be safe." The Rockinga Ranch came into view, a warm, well-kept home surrounded by tidy fences and busy ranch hands. Even through the storm, it looked like a place of hope. They reached the porch, where a kind-faced housekeeper rushed out. "Nathan, you're soaked to the bone. And who have we here?" Quote, "This is Miss Abigail O'Connor and Samuel Farley," Nathan said. "They'll be staying with us." Mrs. Benson ushered Abigail inside, fussing over her wet dress and shivering hands. She led her to a guest room, gave her dry clothes, and helped her settle. Abigail changed, the softness of the borrowed dress bringing unexpected tears. She hadn't felt cared for in so long. She joined Nathan and Samuel in the kitchen, where warm soup waited on the table. The smell alone made her eyes sting. "Sit, Miss O'Connor," Nathan said gently. "Eat something. You've had a hard morning." Abigail sat beside Samuel. The boy looked calmer now, though his eyes were still red. "What will happen to my pa?" Samuel asked quietly. Nathan answered honestly. "He'll face the judge. There'll be questions about your mother." The boy's shoulders slumped. "I knew he hurt Ma. I just didn't want to believe it." Abigail placed her hand over his. "You're safe now. No one will hurt you again." After supper, Nathan walked Abigail to the parlor. The fire glowed warm and steady. He stopped before speaking, as if choosing his words carefully. "I want you to know something," he said. "You weren't wrong to come here. You were brave to seek a better life. Walter took advantage of your hope. That isn't your fault." Abigail swallowed hard. "Thank you for everything." Nathan stepped closer, not too close, just enough that she felt the strength of his presence. "Rest tonight," he said softly. "Tomorrow, we'll figure out the next steps. You're not alone anymore." That night, in a warm bed with clean sheets, Abigail couldn't sleep. Her thoughts spun in circles: the near marriage, Walter's rage, Nathan's steady bravery, and Samuel, who had been lost in the storm of his father's cruelty. Her heart ached for him most of all. By morning, her decision was made. She found Mrs. Benson in the kitchen. "Please let me help. I don't want to be a burden." Mrs. Benson smiled. "You're no burden, dear, but I'd welcome the help." As Abigail set the table, she felt something she hadn't felt since Boston. Purpose. Later that day, Nathan approached with news. The sheriff came by. "Walter's been released on bail." Abigail's stomach dropped. "But he's forbidden from coming near my ranch," Nathan said quickly. "You're safe." Still, fear lingered. As they walked through the ranch together, Abigail confided her worries. "I can't lean on you forever. I should find work. Maybe in town." Nathan nodded slowly. "Or I could offer you a position here." She looked up, surprised. "As Samuel's tutor," Nathan explained. "The boy needs education. You're the best person for the job." Hope flickered inside her. "I would like that," she admitted. "But I can't stay in the main house as your guest." "There's a small cottage on the property," Nathan said. "You and Samuel can stay there." That afternoon, he showed her the cottage, a simple home with 2 small bedrooms, a kitchen, and a cozy sitting room. Abigail walked through it slowly, feeling something bloom inside her. It felt like a beginning. They moved in the next day. Nathan brought furniture, books for Samuel, and even a little orange kitten from the barn. "Every home needs a cat," he said with a warm smile. Days turned into a gentle rhythm. Abigail taught Samuel to read and do sums. She helped in the kitchen, tended the garden, and listened to the ranch hands' stories. And Nathan visited often. One evening, as they sat together on the porch of the cottage, the sun dipping low behind the hills, he spoke softly. "I need to tell you something. These weeks, getting to know you has meant more to me than I expected." Her heart raced. "I care for you, Abigail," he said, "but I won't rush you. You've been through enough." She looked into his steady blue eyes and felt her defenses melt. "I care for you too," she whispered, "more than I want to admit." They sat in silence, the night settling peacefully around them, until the sheriff arrived with news that shattered the calm. "Farley's gone," he said grimly. "He slipped out of town after bail, and he's making threats." Abigail's blood ran cold. Walter was free and coming for them. The warning echoed through Abigail's mind long after the sheriff rode away. Walter Farley was free, angry, and hunting for revenge. For days she lived with a knot of dread in her stomach, checking the windows twice at night, watching Samuel sleep with fear that his father might come for him too. Nathan tried to reassure her. "You're not alone. My men know to keep watch. He won't get near you." But even he couldn't hide the worry in his eyes. 2 days later, the danger arrived without warning. Abigail was hanging laundry behind the cottage when she noticed smoke in the distance, thick, dark, and far too close to be a controlled fire. Her heart lurched. "Samuel," she called. The boy ran out of the cottage. "What's happening?" "There's smoke coming from the main house. Stay here." "Don't move." She gathered her skirts and ran toward the ridge. As she reached the top, her breath stopped cold. The bunkhouse was burning. Flames leapt toward the sky. Ranch hands rushed in a frantic bucket line from the well. Heat washed over her even from a distance. Nathan was in the middle of the chaos, barking orders, his shirt soaked with sweat. Relief flooded her. He was alive. But something moved at the corner of her vision. A figure creeping behind the barn. A man with a gun. Her blood turned to ice. Walter. "Nathan!" she screamed. "He's here! He's going to the house!" Nathan's head snapped up. He saw her terror and reacted instantly. Dropping his bucket, he sprinted toward the main house, drawing his revolver as he ran. Abigail followed, breathless, heart-hammering. Then a gunshot rang out. The sound ripped through her like a blade. She froze, trembling, unsure if she could keep going. But the thought of losing Nathan pushed her forward. She crept toward the open front door, grabbing a thick wooden stick from the ground. Inside, angry voices erupted. "You took everything from me!" Walter shouted. Abigail stepped into the parlor and gasped. Nathan was on the floor, clutching his shoulder, blood staining his shirt. Walter stood over him, revolver pointed at Nathan's head. "Now I'll take everything from you," Walter snarled. "The only one who ruined your life is you," Nathan said through gritted teeth. Walter raised the pistol. This was the moment Abigail acted. Moving silently, she lifted the stick and swung with every bit of strength she had. It cracked against Walter's arm. Walter howled, the gun flying across the room. He spun toward her, rage twisting his face. "You ruined everything!" He lunged. But before he could reach her, Nathan, injured but determined, tackled him from behind. The two men hit the floor in a violent struggle. "Samuel!" Abigail cried silently in her mind. "Please be safe!" She scrambled for the fallen revolver, her hands shaking. She grabbed it, turned, and aimed it at Walter. Her finger rested on the trigger as her breath trembled. "Don't move, Walter," she said. "I will shoot." Walter froze, breathing hard. "You ain't got it in you, girl." "Try me." Her voice was steady, strong, a woman done being afraid. Walter hesitated. Hatred burned in his eyes. But slowly, he lifted his hands. Nathan shoved him to the ground and tied his wrists with his belt. "Abigail, get the sheriff." "You're hurt," she protested. "It's a graze. Go." Quote, she ran out, grabbed the nearest saddled horse, and rode hard for town. Dust and tears streaked her face as she urged the animal faster. Sheriff Davis and 2 deputies returned with her. Walter was taken into custody, this time for attempted murder and arson. He wouldn't escape again. When Abigail rushed back into the parlor, she found Nathan sitting on the couch, his shirt cut away so Dr. Miller could tend his wound. "You're lucky," the doctor said. "Another inch, and that bullet would have taken you." Nathan managed a weak smile. "I'm not the lucky one. Abigail saved my life." He reached out his good hand. Abigail took it, her eyes filling with tears. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. "You'll never lose me," he said softly. That evening, after Walter was locked away and the fire at the bunkhouse was under control, Abigail and Nathan sat together on the porch. Nathan's arm was in a sling, but his eyes were warm. "You were brave today," he said, "braver than most men I know." Abigail shook her head. "I was terrified." "But you still protected me," Nathan said. "Abigail, I almost lost my chance to tell you something important." He turned toward her fully. "I love you." The words hit her like sunlight after a storm, warm and soft and unexpected. "I love you too," she whispered. Nathan gently pulled her close and kissed her, tender, grateful, full of promise. When they parted, Abigail saw tears in the corners of his eyes. "Marry me," he said, "not out of obligation or because you need a home, but because we're better together than apart." "Yes," she said without hesitation. "Yes, Nathan Aldridge, I'll marry you." "And Samuel?" Nathan asked softly. "I want to adopt him," Abigail said. "He deserves a family." Nathan's face broke into a smile. "We'll raise him together." The next morning they told Samuel. The boy's eyes widened. "You mean I'd be your son? Really?" "If you want to be," Nathan said. Samuel threw his arms around both of them. "That's all I've ever wanted?" Their wedding took place on a cool November morning. The entire town came. Mrs. Benson decorated the Rocking A ranch with flowers and ribbons. Nathan stood tall and proud despite the sling. Abigail walked toward him in her mother's blue dress, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. When the preacher finished the ceremony, Nathan kissed her with a smile she would remember forever. They built a life of love and peace. Samuel grew into a strong young man. Their family grew with the birth of their own children. The ranch flourished under Nathan and Abigail's care. And though the years brought challenges, they faced them together. Often, at sunset, they sat side by side on the porch, just as they did the night Nathan first confessed his love. Watching the sky over the Texas desert, they knew their story was born from hardship, but shaped by hope. Abigail had come to Texas looking for security. She found something better, a home, a family, a love worth fighting for.